What if everything you've been doing to gain approval is actually destroying you? What if the more you care about what others think, the more you suffer? You twist yourself into whatever shape gets you applause. You worry about being liked, validated, and admired. But here's the brutal truth. The world isn't designed to reward those who seek approval. It rewards those who don't need it. Montaigne understood this centuries ago. While others were chasing order, prestige, and glory, Montaigne stepped back, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. He saw something few ever do, that when you stop trying to control life, it starts to flow. Let's start with the disease you didn't know you had. Approval seeking. You've been taught that your worth is measured by the eyes of others, that to be happy, you must be admired, that to succeed, you must be liked. So what do? You twist yourself into whatever shape gets you applause. You polish the surface while rotting underneath. You become a puppet, smiling on command, nodding when you disagree, staying silent when you should roar. And for what? For scraps of validation from people who don't even know themselves. You live under the tyranny of the public gaze. You perform, you filter, you conform, and you wonder why you feel hollow, why you feel anxious, why nothing ever feels enough. It's because you've outsourced your identity. You've handed over the keys to your soul in exchange for approval. Montaigne would tell you to burn the contract because the moment you stop trying to impress them, you begin to remember who you are. Here's the truth. No one wants to hear. They don't care about you. Not really. Everyone is too busy worrying about themselves, wrapped in their own insecurities, haunted by their own image management. So why do you keep living as if their judgment is divine law? Montaigne's brilliance was in realizing that freedom doesn't come from victory. It comes from detachment, not from indifference, but from the release of needing to control how you're perceived. The moment you let go of the performance is the moment you reclaim your authenticity. You are not here to be perfect. You are not here to be universally liked. You are here to live, and living begins the second you let go of control. Control is the great illusion. You think if you just say the right things, act the right way, look the right part, then life will go your way, that people will respect you, that success will follow. But Montaigne, a man who stared deeply into the chaos of life, knew better. He saw that life laughs at control. It mocks your plans. It shatters your certainty. So what did he do? He surrendered, not in defeat, but in wisdom. He accepted that life is unpredictable, people are inconsistent, and the world owes you nothing. And instead of fighting that reality, he flowed with it. He stopped trying to dominate the current and learned to ride it. And that right there is where true confidence is born. Because when you're no longer obsessed with being in control, with being perceived a certain way, you move differently. You speak with ease. You act with boldness. You don't need to fake anything because there's nothing to hide. You're free. And here's the paradox that terrifies society. The less you care about proving yourself, the more powerful you become. Because most people are playing a game they don't even understand. They chase success, thinking it will bring confidence. They chase beauty, thinking it will bring love. They chase validation, thinking it will bring peace. But it's all backwards. It's the chasing that creates the emptiness. Montaigne flipped the script. He didn't care if he was impressive. He didn't care if he was celebrated. He cared if he was real. And in doing so, he became unforgettable. His confidence didn't come from being admired. It came from not needing admiration. That's the real power. It's the man who doesn't flinch when he's judged, the woman who speaks her truth without seeking applause, the individual who lives aligned with themselves regardless of who's watching. That's the kind of person who walks into a room and owns it without trying, because nothing is more magnetic than authenticity. And here's the part no one wants to admit. Most people are terrified of that kind of freedom, because once you stop caring, you can't be controlled. Not by culture, not by fear, not by shame. You become ungovernable in the best way possible. You stop chasing trends. You stop molding yourself to fit in. You stop apologizing for existing. And suddenly, the power dynamics shift. People don't pity you. They respect you or they hate you. But either way, they recognize you. Because true detachment isn't invisibility. It's presence. The kind of presence that doesn't need to beg, that doesn't need to explain, that doesn't need to prove. The kind of presence Montaigne cultivated in solitude. While others were building empires, he built something rarer, inner peace. He chose authenticity over ambition, depth over popularity, and in doing so, left a legacy more timeless than kings. You think letting go is weakness? Let me tell you what weakness is. It's checking your reflection 10 times before leaving the house. It's rewriting your message 5 times to make sure you sound clever. It's saying yes when you mean no. It's staying quiet when your soul is screaming. That's weakness. Letting go, that takes courage. It takes courage to stop caring about the opinions of people you wouldn't trade lives with. It takes courage to walk away from the crowd and say, I will find my own way. It takes courage to admit you don't have it all figured out and not care who knows it. Montaigne's entire philosophy is a rebellion against the performative life. He invites you to be human again, not polished, not curated, not optimized for likes or claps or accolades, just honest, messy, alive. And yes, that means failure. That means rejection. That means imperfection. But guess what? That's reality. And reality, unlike reputation, doesn't vanish when no one's looking. You want to feel confident? Stop performing. You want to feel powerful? Stop needing. You want to feel free? Then let go. Let go of the obsession with being seen as successful. Let go of the hunger to be validated. Let go of the lie that perfection will save you. Montaigne would tell you that once you stop caring about the wrong things, you start caring about the right ones, your peace, your truth, your time. And suddenly, everything begins to fall into place. Because now, you're not acting from fear, you're acting from center. And when you act from your center, the world doesn't shake you, you shake the world. So ask yourself, how much of your life has been dictated by the need to be liked? How many of your choices were made to avoid judgment? How much of your energy is spent maintaining an image that's slowly killing you? And what would happen, what would truly happen, if you stopped? If you let it all go, not to collapse, but to rise? Because here's the ultimate irony. When you stop caring, you become the person everyone else secretly wishes they could be. Not because you're perfect, but because you're real. And in a world addicted to illusion, nothing is more powerful than that. Detachment does not mean apathy. You think that if you stop caring, everything will fall apart, that without your worry, your guilt, your obsessive planning, the universe will collapse into chaos. But Montaigne would laugh at that idea, not because your concerns are foolish, but because your belief in your own centrality is. You are not Atlas. You don't carry the world on your shoulders. Most of the pressure you feel isn't real. It's manufactured by your own insecurity. You are not essential to everything. And the moment you realize that, something magical happens. The weight falls off. Detachment is not about withdrawing from the world. It's about engaging with it without being owned by it. It's about showing up fully without being consumed. Do you understand the difference? Because most people don't. Most people confuse caring with clinging. They believe obsession is a virtue. They think overcommitment is character. But that's not strength, that's ego. That's the fear of being irrelevant, dressed up as responsibility. Montaigne lived in chaos, civil wars, plagues, political upheaval, and yet in the middle of that storm, he found peace. Not by escaping the world, but by disentangling his self-worth from its madness. Can you do that? Can you show up, contribute, love, lead, and still be untouched by the need to control every outcome? That's real maturity. That's detachment. And it's the first step toward freedom. Authenticity attracts. You don't need to chase people. You don't need to beg for approval. You don't need to engineer every interaction to be liked. That's the lie you've been sold. But deep down, you already know it doesn't work. The more you chase validation, the more it runs from you. Here's what Montaigne knew. People are not drawn to perfection. They're drawn to realness, to honesty, to the person who is at peace with themselves and therefore has no need to impress. And yet, you continue to wear the mask. You hide your doubts, your weirdness, your contradictions, thinking that blending in will save you. But the truth is, it's your performance that's making you invisible. You want to be magnetic? Stop pretending. You want people to respect you. Stop trying to please them. You want connection. Show them your spine. Because authenticity is rare. It terrifies the weak and inspires the strong. Montaigne wrote essays not to teach, but to reveal. He dissected himself, his flaws, his fears, his absurdities, not for attention, but for clarity. And in doing so, he gave the world something more valuable than image, truth. And you? You're still living for applause, still adjusting your personality like a costume. But what has that gotten you? Shallow praise, fleeting approval. Meanwhile, your real self is buried underneath layers of self-editing and shame. Let me tell you something cruel and liberating. No one cares as much as you think they do. Most people are too busy thinking about themselves to obsess over your imperfections. So stop living like you're on trial. Start being. Start revealing. Start embodying what Montaigne called the art of living comfortably with oneself. Because when you stop trying to be lovable, you become irresistible. Letting go means flow. Here's the paradox. The harder you try to control life, the more it resists you. You grind, you push, you scheme, and nothing clicks. But the moment you surrender your grip, life opens up. Coincidence? No, it's design. Because flow doesn't come from domination. It comes from alignment. It's not found by forcing outcomes. It's revealed when you stop trying to control them. Montaigne was not a stoic in the rigid sense. He wasn't about suppressing emotions. He was about dancing with them, observing them, writing through them. That's flow. Letting life move through you instead of trying to choke it into submission. Think about your own life. How many times have you clung to something, someone, a dream, a plan, long after it was dead? How much of your suffering has come from resistance, from the refusal to adapt? You think control brings peace, But it doesn't. It brings fear. Because deep down, you know that everything you love can slip away, and so you cling harder and suffocate the very things you're trying to preserve. Montaigne didn't believe in rigid goals. He believed in curiosity. He believed in change, in flowing with the seasons of the soul. He wrote, "I do not portray being, I portray passing." In that one line, he destroyed the myth of permanence. And you? You're still trying to build a fortress around your life, still thinking if you plan enough, worry enough, strive enough, you'll be safe. But what if safety is the lie? What if the only real security is adaptability? That's what letting go gives you, not weakness, resilience, not apathy, freedom. It's the ability to flow with life, not fight it, to bend without breaking, to lose without losing yourself. And once you let go, that's when things begin to align. That's when the right people, the right moments, the right ideas find you. Not because you chased them, but because you became open to them. Control is an illusion. Now here's the truth that will offend your ego the most. You are not in control. Not of others. Not of outcomes. Not even of your own mind most of the time. And yet, you live as if control is your birthright. You plan, you stress, you manipulate, thinking you can shape life like clay. But Montaigne would laugh at that because he saw clearly, life is chaos, wrapped in illusion. You don't control what people think. You don't control the future. You don't even control your own mood some days. And that's not a flaw, it's a fact. The problem is, you've confused control with competence. You think if you let go, you'll fall apart. But it's the opposite. The more you try to dominate life, the more it dominates you. You've built your identity around outcomes, around status, around achievements. And now you're addicted to results. But Montaigne reminds us, the only true possession is your inner life. Everything else is borrowed. He writes, "My life has been full of terrible misfortunes, most of which never happened." Do you see the dagger in that sentence? Most of your suffering isn't real. It's anticipated, imagined, fabricated by a mind desperate for certainty in an uncertain world. But here's the twist. When you embrace uncertainty, you reclaim your power. Because fear loses its grip when you stop pretending you're in charge. Control is a drug. It gives you the illusion of safety while robbing you of presence. You don't need control. You need clarity. You need courage. You need the ability to walk into chaos with a steady heart and say, "I don't know what's coming, but I know who I am." That's the Montaigne mindset. That's the posture of the free. The truth no one wants to hear. Most people will never live like this. They will cling. They will beg. They will chase control and die exhausted. Because the truth is, freedom terrifies them. Why? Because once you let go of control, there's no one left to blame. No more excuses. No more illusions. Just you, raw, honest, unguarded. And most people would rather suffer predictably than live authentically. But you're here for something more. You're here to break the cycle, to stop pretending, to detach without disconnecting, to care deeply but not desperately. That's the secret. When you stop caring in the wrong way, you finally begin to care in the right way. You stop caring about status and start caring about impact. You stop caring about being liked and start caring about being true. You stop caring about the future and start caring about the present. And suddenly, everything begins to fall into place. Not because you forced it, but because you got out of your own way. Relationships improve with detachment. You've been told that to love someone, you must hold on tightly, that you must care enough to change them, fix them, improve them. But that's not love. That's control, dressed in affection. It's fear, disguised as intimacy. You think your concern will bring you closer, but all it does is suffocate both of you. Here's the reality. True connection only happens when you let go. When you stop clinging to your expectations. When you stop demanding that others become who you want them to be. Montaigne wrote about friendship as something sacred. Not because it satisfies your needs, but because it honors the other as they are, not as a project, but as a presence. And that's where most people fail. They think relationships are about molding others, not accepting them. They chase compatibility without understanding that acceptance is the foundation. You want respect? Learn to let go. You want intimacy? Stop trying to rewrite someone else's story. You want love? Then stop caring whether they love you back exactly how you imagined. The paradox is cruel, but true. You get closer to people when you stop needing them to be close. And when you do, something shifts. Respect deepens. Intimacy grows. Because nothing is more magnetic than freedom. Peace comes from within. Let's talk about your obsession with approval. You scroll through your phone, counting likes like they mean something. You replay conversations in your head, wondering if you said the right thing. You base your self-worth on external metrics, status, followers, titles, reactions, and still you're empty. Montaigne knew this game well. He watched the nobles, the scholars, the kings, chasing reputation like it would save their souls. But he also knew nothing outside can fill the void inside. You can win applause from 1,000 people and still feel hollow. You can build an empire and still collapse from insecurity. Because peace isn't out there. It's not found in praise. It's not granted by society. It's earned the moment you stop giving a damn about what they think. This isn't niceism, it's clarity. Montaigne called it retreat into the self. Not withdrawal out of fear, but liberation from dependency. He found peace in solitude, not because he hated the world, but because he stopped needing its approval to exist. So ask yourself, would you still do what you do if nobody noticed? Would you still be who you are if no one applauded? If the answer is no, then you don't have an identity. You have a performance. And the only way out is detachment. Stop caring about their applause, and you'll hear your own voice again. Stop chasing their validation, and you'll meet the self that was buried under expectations. Peace isn't given. It's reclaimed. And it begins the moment you stop caring. Letting go creates space. You think you need to do more, be more, achieve more. You've been brainwashed to believe that the answer is always more effort. But what if the answer is less? What if your obsession with control is the very thing choking your potential? Montaigne knew this intimately. While others were storming castles, he was walking through gardens. While they were planning battles, he was writing essays. And still, he left a legacy that outlasted kings. Because real growth doesn't come from clenching your fists. It comes from opening your hands. When you stop caring about chasing success, when you stop micromanaging life, when you stop trying to force outcomes, you create space. And in that space, something miraculous happens. Creativity returns, love reappears, joy slips in quietly. You ever notice how the best conversations happen when you're not trying to impress? How the best ideas come when you're not desperate to be brilliant? How love blossoms, not when you chase it, but when you become it? That's not a coincidence. It's a principle. The universe doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to openness. Montaigne wrote about this indirectly. He embraced imperfection. He flowed with randomness. He celebrated contradiction. He didn't demand that life makes sense. He learned to dance with its chaos. Letting go is not giving up. It's growing up. It's realizing that the harder you grip, the more you lose. It's choosing to trust that what's meant for you won't need to be forced. And that's when the magic happens. Not because you chased it, but because you made room for it. Final realization. Flow, not force. You've spent your life fighting reality, trying to mold it into something that matches your fantasies. You were taught to conquer life, to dominate, to strive, to control. But Montaigne's final lesson is this: the wise do not conquer life. They flow with it. He wasn't a king, he wasn't a general, he wasn't a revolutionary, and yet his words have endured for centuries. Why? Because he understood what most people never will, that the deepest truths don't come from control, they come from surrender. That wisdom is not found in rigidity, but in flexibility. That you don't find happiness by chasing it, but by stopping the chase. Montaigne walked away from the political world, not out of cowardice, but clarity. He saw the game. He saw the illusion. And he realized nothing you win out there matters if you lose yourself in the process. You've been caring about all the wrong things. What they think, how they see you, whether you're impressive, whether you're successful. But the moment you stop caring about that, everything else begins to align. Because then, you're no longer desperate. You're no longer controlled. You're no longer playing someone else's game. You're free. And when you're free, you move differently. You speak with honesty. You love without attachment. You create without fear. You live not as a slave to perception, but as a master of your own state of mind. Montaigne didn't have all the answers. He didn't pretend to, but he asked the right questions. He turned inward, not to escape the world, but to understand how to live within it. And his message is clear: let go. Let go of the fear that paralyzes you. Let go of the stories that define you. Let go of the belief that you must earn your worth, because you don't. You were never meant to be perfect, only present. You were never meant to control the storm, only to sail through it with grace. So stop caring like a prisoner. Start caring like a free man. Care from your center, not your wounds. Care with strength, not desperation. And watch. Just watch how everything begins to fall into place. Not because the world changed, but because you did.